Hey, what's up, builders? It's your girl, Kantoinette the blogger, and you are now listening to the LBF podcast. Whoo, y'all. That's what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah.
Today, we're going to be talking about closure. So, this is called Closed Doors Don't Get Fed, and it's to talk about closure and the one that got away. So, don't be surprised if this turns into a two-part, because it's probably going to be a two-part.
Probably so.
And you already know that voice. That is Spa Dani on the other end of that mic. She's joining us for this conversation. So, um, mm,
What's up, y'all?
how you feeling about this conversation? About this
um,
topic, at least.
it's a conversation that's needed. It's weighty, but it's needed. For both of us and for the builders out there. When I was writing out my thoughts and my responses, I was like, "Ooh, I'm digging up some stuff," but it's cool.
Yeah, okay, digging up all kind of bones in the backyard. So, I'll start off with a little quote. Y'all know I like my quotes now. It'll be my own quote. So if you want to find it, this is a blog post. You can visit letsbuildfutures.com, and it has the same title, Closed Doors Don't Get Fed, and to talk about closure and the one that got away. So go check that out. One thing I wrote was, real closure is a little messy. It's not always going to feel complete. Closure isn't always a conversation. Sometimes it's an action. Closure can be sudden or gradual, and it actually doesn't require two people. Closure is personal. So, the first
Yeah.
question I'll ask is closure a myth?
I, I don't think so. I don't think it's a myth per se. Yeah, I'm sorry. My voice is gonna be
I was about to
cracking.
say, what?
This caller is. I don't even know. Like I was fine before we started recording. I don't understand.
That voice was going in and out like an ox
God, I'm
cord.
sorry, y'all.
The dollar stuff.
I'm over this. I'm over it already. Oh,
Oh.
dang. Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm
No,
over it.
I asked you, do you think closure is
I
a myth?
know I can't talk every time I say something.
Look, my voice is a little hoarse too. It's a little rough around the edges, but clear it out. So, okay, I'll go ahead. Closure, to me, I don't think it's a myth. I think that sometimes we think it's a myth because we don't get the kind of closure that we want. But just because we don't get the kind of closure that we think, and a lot of people think it's that two-part conversation you have with somebody, that come to Jesus moment where you
Yeah.
can express yourself and get everything out on
Okay.
the table. Right, and then you can leave all amicably and all that. Is like, but that is a form of closure, but that's not all there is to closure. Like there are different forms of closure, and so I think a lot of people just stop there, and they think that closure is a myth simply because they haven't had that conversation that they wanted. But you deciding that you're gonna move on is closure in itself, in
Yeah,
my
that's what I was gonna
opinion.
say. I was gonna say, yeah, it's not a myth. But I was gonna say, like, a lot of people think it's only one form, but it's not. Like, especially like, and a lot of people miss out on like the self closure that you can get. Like, they always feel like it has to be a two part,
Hmm.
but a lot of time, well, most of the time, it's for you anyways. Like, for you to close the door, for you to like, walk away or whatever. But a lot of people think that, oh, because they don't get the conversation from the other person or response or whatever they're looking for, that it doesn't exist, I guess.
Right. All right. So, with that being said, what does closure mean to you currently?
Currently, um, well, I'll just say this: like, I've been doing a lot of shadow work, a lot of shadow work.
Wait, what happened? The light just cut off?
This ring
You
might
in
be
the
doing its
shadows
own
right
thing, for real, for real. But we gonna keep it moving. They can't see me anyway.
now? Okay.
Um, like I was saying, I've been doing a lot of shadow work, and a lot of stuff has been coming to the surface. Like, a lot of stuff that I thought was fixed was really broken. And like every time like I think I'm over something that came to the surface, like I'm like, dang, that's broke too. Like,
Right, like them.
and so, and I realized that a lot of things that were still broken that I didn't really realize were still broken was because I never got the closure that I thought that I needed,
Hmm.
but I never gave myself the closure either.
Right.
And I just moved on just for the sake of moving on.
Right. Now, when I say that closure is can be moving on, I mean like with peace. Like it's a difference to me like being able to move on and have peace about the situation.
Right.
And it is a difference of moving on and you just moving on because
You
you
ain't
really
got no
got no other
choice.
choice, and like you still hurt and you still
Right.
carrying all that baggage,
Mm-hmm.
and so it's a little bit of a difference whenever you can make peace with the situation and then you choose to like progress through your life because it's not like you're carrying all that hurt and that pain with you.
Right.
That's closure. When I think the secret ingredient is that peace portion.
Right.
Um
Y'all, I was out here looking like the bad lady. You hear me? I was carrying around stuff that I didn't even remember.
and you know
Like,
what? Um so was today is Monday. We're recording this, and today I shared the healing process episode. And on that episode, we talked about healing, and that was one of the things we said was like how important it is to heal whenever you're coming into contact with other people, and also like carrying all those bags with you start to weigh you down, and it can
mm-hmm.
prevent you from having that peace, prevent you from having that closure because you don't want to let go because of whatever that pain might remind you not to make the same mistake, so you feel some kind of comfort in that pain, which is a thing.
Right.
Will hold on to their baggage because it's a reminder, for them to not make the same mistakes or not to be as vulnerable. So they hold on to it because it's like an armor. But the reality is like in order to be healthy, you gotta like have closure with different situations.
And you gotta find that peace. Like, cause
Yeah.
for me, like my armor was, oh, I'm independent and I can do this by myself and I don't need nobody. Blah 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 blah. And in return, first of all, yes, you do. And second, it's just like that's not cute to be carrying all that and to just be sticking your chest out all the time because what you really like haven't acknowledged is like I'm hurt and I've been hurt and I'm still hurting, but like you wanna get over it so much that you just want to say whatever to make you feel better. It's just like it's okay to admit that you're hurt. It's okay to admit that you're not over it. Like it's
Right.
okay.
Oh, the first step is admittance, and people don't want to do that.
Mm-mm.
Nobody don't want to admit they hurt. But also, like, so back to the question, like, closure means to me, like I said, part of it is peace, and the other part is like, is choosing yourself because
Mm-hmm.
on some level, whatever situation that you're leaving is probably a situation that wasn't healthy for you in some kind of way,
Right.
or that you weren't
But we
healthy
don't
for
realize
that
that though.
situation in
We
return.
don't realize that.
We don't. Sometimes we don't. Hopefully, the older you get, the more you realize it. So, like me currently, a lot of the closure I get is from saying, okay, well, look at the situation for what it was. Were you getting what you needed? Were you getting what you deserve? And how were you showing up in that person's life? Were you being your best self? Were they being their best self for
Right.
you? And if the answers to that don't align with my desires and the things that I actually do deserve, then that's how I get the closure is by understanding that I'm not losing anything that is of true value to my life and to what I want. How did you think of closure when you were younger? Shit, I think we let stuff roll over and closure
Bruh,
with.
like when I was writing my response, like I was so triggered because I was just like my younger self. Like as much as I love her and I forgive her, I'm like, girl,
You was messed up. You was just out here.
oh my god, like
And when I say younger, I mean even at 28.
Okay,
And I'm only
that
30.
too. That too. Shoot, I'm even talking to 2020 me.
I'm even talking to 29. What you talking about? Because I made some
Like,
mistakes.
listen, but you know how you think that you need somebody? Like, you just have to have that person, or like, life is not like I used to think like life was only with that person, like y'all done had no future or something. I used to be so stuck in the moment and just be like, oh my god, like what am I gonna do without them? Move on.
Go about your business. What?
But I mean, that's just how life was. You just thought like, oh, it's just gonna be us forever. And I'm like, girl, like if I could just sit her down and be like, baby, it gets better
Choose,
and it's much
choose
better out
you.
here. And choose yourself, please.
Choose you.
Like just you, but even still, like even in the moments, like my younger self, like I would have those moments where I'm like, I'm not really getting what I want, but I always just still chose that other person. I
Right.
never chose myself, and I'm just like, nah, bro, we not doing that no more.
um, closure for me when I was younger was this whole romanticized idea about it was two part, which is why this is a two part. So it was having sitting down having this whole conversation about, you know, everything and being told all the wonderful things that the person probably couldn't give me, right? Because I did nothing wrong. Always in my in
Yep.
my mind, in the closure, like it was
Yeah.
always the other person, right? So, and also the closure was I was able to move on because the person never really let me go. So I was also the one that got away.
Mhm.
So on that end, it's like it to me, in my opinion, it's easy to move on. It's easier to move on when you know the other person is never letting you go because you
Yeah.
feel like at any moment if I choose to go back, I can. Like, and so it's easier for you to like leave with your like self esteem and stuff intact as opposed to
Yeah.
you having to like do the work to like kind of rebuild that stuff in a lot of
Mhm.
cases. So like the closure for me was, the door is still open.
Which is no closure.
Which is actually not closure. Like,
Not
and I
close.
was really
Not
out here,
closest.
out here being happy to be labeled the one that got away, out here, being happy to like have these situations that sometimes the door would be cracked and then you just waiting for the person to come back around to, open it. It
Bro,
was
I just thought about like, you know how like leaving the door cracked or whatever. But what I didn't take into account is like when you really like over the person, but that door still cracked and they still slip through that crack and they come back
but
and you
if
don't
you
want them
over
to.
them, how is the door still cracked though? That's the
Like you
thing.
know how it's like you don't have the conversation right and the door still cracked. You know you still got love for the person, but y'all never had that conversation, quote unquote, and it's like you over them, but you're not over them
I'm gonna say
in a
okay, so
sense.
that's the real piece because if you decide that you done with the situation,
But we're talking
it
about
is
younger us
nothing.
though.
Oh,
Like,
okay, yeah, we
yeah,
still on
we still
younger.
on the
Okay, I
younger
got
us.
you. I got you.
Yeah, younger me loved to have the door cracked, but didn't realize like when I said that I was over them in my mind
That door still
that the
cracked.
door was still cracked and they could still come back through it or whatever. But also too, like younger me thought, having the conversation, but you didn't realize, like, bruh, I'm still attracted to this person. So when I meet up, they have
Oh,
the conversation,
child.
like,
And then that just
it's
feeds
not
into
gonna go in
like
my favor.
e- even that just feeds into like this Disney mindset. I
Yep.
had so much of that where it's just like once you see the person, all your feelings start rushing back, and it's like,
Mm-hmm.
oh my god, we're meant to be together.
Yep.
And it's like, girl,
Go
stop.
sit down. Go sit in the corner, please.
Go away with me from me with this Apollo.
Go from me with this.
Like, so you just sitting there and it's like you keep perpetuating a cycle that's not
Mm-hmm.
healthy for you.
Cause
That's
y'all never
not
really
really
have the conversation.
because you never really let each other go. And so like the closure for me when I was younger was not closure. It
Mm-mm.
was my idea, this romanticized idea of of I'ma always love this person. This person is gonna always love me.
Mhm.
And so in that sense, it was like we're never gonna let each other fully go.
Mhm.
No, ma'am, I don't do that no more.
Nope, not doing that.
So what has your oh okay, wait, I read
Huh?
that question wrong.
What you
Yeah, I ain't even been drinking. I'm just drunk off sleepiness.
tired?
And if I sound like Batman, I know this might not be the original
Listen,
Kantoinette voice, but this
man.
pollen and this sleepiness and this
Listen, y'all not gonna
exhaustion.
come for us and how we sound. That's what y'all not gonna do.
I had other people like, they have their family members and stuff listen. It was like, oh yeah, they said that you have a really nice voice. I'm like, they're not gonna say that on this
Mm.
episode.
You be like, what happened?
You might feel differently, but I'm sorry. Okay, what has been your experience with closure up to this point in your life? Like, what kinds of closure have you had? Running back through the list in your mind.
Man. Um,
This is supposed to be a serious
I
conversation,
know.
Karen.
First of all, you already know how it is when me and you get up here.
I
Like,
thought this was gonna be all sobering and
no,
shit.
we don't. It's heavy enough. We don't need all that. Shoot. Dang, what was the question again?
What has been your experience with closure up to this point in your life?
For me, I know I say this on a lot of episodes, but it's really like how I feel. Like it's really been a roller coaster. Like, um, dang, I wrote.
Dude, pull up your notes.
I'm trying because I'm trying not to miss nothing.
So, builders, while she's doing that, you think about what has been your experience with closure up to this point in your life, and you can kind of answer this question along with us.
Um, not wanting to let go all the way, like we said.
Mm-hmm.
I struggle with that a lot. But the deep rooted issue was I have well had I'm not gonna claim that no more. I had abandonment issues and rejection issues.
Mm-hmm.
So every time I felt like I was getting rejected or somebody was abandoning me, I latched onto them.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Try to pull them closer.
yeah, just like why are you leaving me? You know, but that's another topic. But
I think we were talking about something earlier yesterday or this week, girl. Whatever date it is.
one of them days.
But we said that sometimes with us, like we'll try to stop somebody from losing us when it's just like if you gonna lose me,
You gonna lose me by
you gonna lose.
yourself,
If you're not afraid on your own
right?
to lose, to lose me, then I can't do nothing to stop
Nothing
you.
else. But like it's
And we try.
funny because my younger self, and I'm still talking about 2020, me too. Um, just holding up that sign, pick me, choose me, see me.
Ciao.
And it's just like, for what? If you can't see me by yourself, like if I have to make you see me, what's the point?
Mm-hmm.
If I have to make you choose me or create a space for me, like what's the point? It's just I'm not
Because I
doing
want
that.
you to already come with those skills and that mindset that says I'm gonna hold a space and an opportunity to build some shit with this person. Like,
And I held on to so many people that did not deserve to be held on to, just for the sake of holding on to them. Because
right.
I didn't know how to be by myself for one, because I felt abandoned all my life. So I was like, oh my god, like I need somebody around. And now that I'm in the space of healing and stuff, I'm just like, I actually like being alone more than I
Okay. And
thought.
now I think it might be a problem once I get somebody.
Listen, it's gonna be a minute. Like it's gonna take me a minute to adjust because I'm like actually enjoying my own company and enjoying my space. So when I have to share my space, it's gonna be a little different. But
Okay.
I mean, I'm getting better at opening myself back up, because at first I was like, okay, I need to protect myself from the world
Right.
because these people don't appreciate me.
Right. So most of my experience with closure up to this point in my life has been a lot of like what we've been saying so far. Like, so you I've had the long and meaningful talks and the ones that keep the door open a little bit. So it's just like it's not really closure. And then what kind of turned it upside down, and this is going to be me being very transparent, was one of my last relationships. Um, I wasn't the one that ended things. The person was, which was a shocker for my ego because I'm just like, nigga, I got every reason to leave. Right? Again, trying to help somebody out from not losing me, and that's not my job. So it took a lot of growth for me to get from that point to this point. So with that being said, we had a long conversation. I think afterwards, I think even in that he was like about to leave without having a conversation, because you can tell when people aren't good at like emotional conversations. Then most people are uncomfortable. I know this, and I knew him well enough to know that he was uncomfortable, but I did convince him to sit down and just like talk to me, like. And even afterwards, we went out. I think we had lunch. I couldn't really eat nothing because I was just looking at him like, you mother.
Shut your mouth.
But it didn't really hit me. Like, everything didn't really hit me until like after like we split ways, and I knew like we were long distance. I knew I wasn't going to see this person really that, again, I wasn't going to be dealing with this person on a day-to-day basis. Like, that was it. Like, our relationship was over. And so that's when it like everything started to hit me. And somewhere in my mind, I decided that I didn't get closure. Right? Now, I just said we had a whole conversation, we talked, but it was stuff in the conversation that was said that now, you know how like once you talk to somebody and you realize, oh, I should have said this, or I should have had this or whatever. Yeah. So I had that. And so I became the girl who sends long messages.
I've been there, sis.
I'm serious, and I'm being transparent because there's no need for me to sit up here and look cute and act like Kantoinette is perfect, and like I've just been out here preaching or living everything I preach. I only got here into this mindset through my experiences, right? So I became the girl that I had never been up to that point. I sent long text messages about things that was said during the conversation, and understanding that I still needed. I was asking questions, trying to get answers, because the answers he gave me, I felt like wasn't good enough.
Right.
So essentially, long story short, he gave me a why, right? Because that was also something we'll get into about, the responses from the builders about closure. Some of us want a why. That's how we understand closure. That's very much how, in a lot of ways, I still do understand closure too. I've matured enough to know that you're not gonna always get it.
Right.
And I've also matured enough to know like you can get it, and it might not be in a way that you understand. So he gave me his reasons. He gave me the talk as much as he could have given it to me, because this wasn't someone who was great at communicating. And because it wasn't in the way that I wanted it, I didn't consider it closure.
It wasn't good enough.
It wasn't good enough for me, right? This ain't closure. This shit. This is whatever. It's less than nothing. I deserve more than this. You know what I'm saying? All the things we tell ourselves, like, I deserve an explanation. I deserve for me to know, blah, 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 this, that, and the third. Yes. And I drug that thing out for months. You hear me? I stalled my healing process for months because I was not looking at the closure that he gave me as closure. Meanwhile, he got his closure. He moving on. Such and such. So with me. You still got the whole follows and stuff on social media, but that's another story for another time. Social media and dating, we might be doing that at some point.
Well, I don't know much about that. I might not be the person for the conversation, but
you know enough.
No, you already know. I'm there with you. My last situation was the same thing. Like he didn't necessarily give me closure, but at the same time, the rejection was all the closure that I needed.
Well, that's what I mean by that.
For me, and me seeing the yellow and the red flags, like that was enough.
Yellow and the red.
Listen,
y'all, it be yellow flags before it be red ones.
For real, like
LBF yellow.
It's the subtle ones though. You gotta actually pay attention.
Who you just
The
spoke a
red
word.
flag kind of slap you a little bit, but you be like, oh, that was a little love tap, whatever. I'm gonna keep going. No, it's a red flag.
Slow
That
down,
mean run.
motherfucker. Slow
That
down.
mean run. But that last situation, like I was like, no, this ain't it. No, let me reach out because I want to know why. I want to know why. For
Want to know
months,
why? I want
I was there, right there. I was stalling my process.
y'all. I 3 separate occasions. Three separate occasions reached out to this man who had already told me his reasons, who had already left the situation, and I think one of the last times we talked, because some of them, I think all of them were, no, one of them was, I think when it first happened, we had a phone conversation. And then after that, it was mostly like text messages and DMs and stuff like that. So, but one of the last times he talked, he said, verbatim, I think I made the right decision. When I tell y'all that shit crushed me, okay, in a way that I needed to be crushed,
Yeah,
okay, I needed to have
yeah.
it crushed that way because in order to rebuild from a real place, sometimes you gotta get some stuff broken down.
In order to be rerouted back to yourself,
Okay,
you got
okay,
somebody got to slap you real
you
quick.
gotta slap you, okay, and I'm sitting here like, no, this person who gave less than
And that's how it
you
be.
would be angry, and it was the anger, it was the rejection, and
Yeah.
so that was what I was holding on to, and that was a lot of in a lot of ways preventing me from, you know, me getting the closure I needed because he
Mm-hmm.
gave the closure he was going to give. You know what I'm saying? So when we say closure is a personal journey, I had to realize I wasn't getting nothing else from this person. I wasn't gonna get no more explanations. No matter how much we talked, we were talking in circles. I was asking the
Yep.
same questions over and over and over
Mm-hmm.
again. And he was really confused because he really thought that he was giving me the answers, you know, that he could give me, like that he thought that were gonna suffice. And I just spent too much time
Too much, sis. Too
worrying
much.
about what I wanted someone else to do for me. Like I can have control over their actions. So closure is a personal choice.
Yeah.
I had to choose to be like, okay, I can take what he gave, take it for what it is, look at it, learn from it, learn from the experience with the person, learn from the breakup, learn from the heartache. And, you know, I'm talking about romantic closure at this point, but let's not even get started on when we talk about getting closure with your friendships, getting closure with your family, you
Mm.
know, getting closure in other situations that have nothing to do with your romantic life. So you have to make a personal choice to move on.
Yeah,
That is
because even
closure.
with friendships and family, like it's a lot of conversations that are not going to be had. Like,
Hmm.
and you just gotta be okay with that. Honestly.
Right. And it's not the same mentality to say, oh, it is what it is. What it's saying is you got what you could from a situation.
Mm-hmm.
You can't make that person give any more or any less than what they're going to give you. That's an explanation, that's time, that's attention, that's whatever. So when you make the decision like, okay, well, I can't I can't work with this. Like I can't sit here in this moment. I can't stay here. That's when you get peace and you be like, okay, well, I did all I could do, or I understand as much as I'm gonna be able to understand, and I gotta keep it pushing.
Yep.
Have you ever gone back after a breakup? I asked that for a reason.
um, I'm going back
I
because
know what instance you have.
I'm trying to remember because I mean I haven't had a lot of relationships, but I've
Yeah.
had a lot of situations. But
Well, you in what
um,
situationships? Like when you say
but
you
I mean we
done,
never really. You know how when you say you're done, but you're not really done. You
and you
just
know you're not done, and you just lying to
I don't know if
yourself.
I've ever gone like if I said like we are done. I don't know if I've ever gone back, but I know like if we didn't make it clear, like I've always been the person to be like, oh, this door's still open. Let me go ahead and let me go back through that door. But I really don't know if I've what situation. Tell me, cause I'm confused.
Jordan. Y'all were together,
Oh, we were still dealing.
but
It
y'all
wasn't
were
no
together.
breakup.
Y'all had to broke up.
No, it wasn't no breakup. Breakup. Cause
What
I
you
was
mean
still.
break up?
I say that in my defense. I say that because we were still like dealing with each other like we were in a relationship. We were still talking every day. We
Well, but that's
may
what I mean. But you had, cause
we
I
may have I mean, when you upset, you be like, "Oh, I'm done with you." No, if I call you, you better come, and that's exactly what happened. If I call you, you better come.
so the answer to this question is a yes.
No, and I'm like I'm just playing. I guess so. I mean, I'm really trying because like I kind of blocked that relationship out of my head.
I
Ugh.
get it. That's why I knew I had to remind you.
Let me see. Let me go back down the calendar.
Back down memory lane. I'm trying to think on my end. Have I gone back after a breakup or a situation
I get
breakup?
it's a yeah. It's a yeah, y'all. I think we were broken.
When I say I'm done
I
though,
don't know. I don't know because I really wasn't done. So I can't say. I don't know. I can't say yes or no. I don't know.
oh, I did. Yeah, I have. Okay, so I asked that because I wanted to know, do you consider or do you think people consider breakup closure?
I think it depends on where they are mentally. Like a lot
Mm-hmm.
of people, some people break up means just what it is, break up. Like you're done with them.
All
But other
right.
people, like we like, oh, we gonna take a break. We gonna take a break and we gonna pause. Like, but if I call you or if I text you, like we back on again.
Right. It's this movie, and I'm trying to find the name of it. So after I had that breakup, it was this movie. I think it's something good or something. It's called something. Or better. Oh, I'm gonna find the name of it.
Just post it.
Basically, what happens in the movie is it's this girl, and like she just had like this breakup with this guy she was really in love with or whatever. And so throughout the whole movie, like you just feeling her pain, like it. And I watched this movie right after my breakup, y'all. Bad idea. I was crying the whole
Yeah,
movie. Like,
bad idea.
it was a great idea because like it really just put things in perspective, but also like emotionally it was hard, but it felt nice to feel understood. So like throughout the movie, you're seeing that as in love with her as she is with him. And I think he had broke up with her, which was hitting home for me in all levels. It was just firing on all cylinders, right? But throughout the movie, you see like eventually their relationship just wasn't as great as it had started off, right? You saw the little things that started to happen, that they weren't as close, they weren't, on the same page with some stuff. Intimacy wasn't the same. And
Yeah,
so like this whole time during the whole movie, she's trying to get that closure. She's trying to understand like why they couldn't make it. And eventually, um she just has to deal with the fact that he decided that he wanted something different, and that was her closure. And it's a really great movie. I'm gonna find, but before the end of this episode, I'm gonna find the name of it. I don't know how I'm gonna figure it out. But it's a great movie. I would suggest that pretty much for anybody, even if you're in a happy relationship. It's a good movie to watch because it brings up questions, and questions bring about conversation, and I'm all for having a
right,
conversation. So like it's something that makes you think about your own experiences with closure, with breakups and stuff of that nature, and look at it in a different perspective, because a lot of times we'll say, oh yeah, we had a bad breakup or whatever the case may be, but it was like, what was bad about it?
right.
You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times the bad parts come into you not accepting that that person gave you the closure they was gonna give you, and you trying to get the closure that you want to get.
Mm-hmm.
So, have you dealt with someone you could tell still wasn't over things in their past for lack of closure?
No. When I was writing out my response to this question. Um, I didn't deal with somebody that was holding on to past, or rethinking the past or what, or past relationships or whatever. I don't think. Um, because I don't even know how I would have dealt with it, honestly.
I think it shows up in different ways. It's not necessarily, I don't think all the times it shows up as that person wants someone from the past. I think sometimes it shows up as patterns. It shows up as like unhealed parts.
I mean, well, that's an every relationship, unhealed.
Yeah.
um, I think what I dealt with in my situations or relationships was like guys not dealing, like not knowing how to let go of their past selves.
Mm.
So like they were always like comparing like where they were to where they were in the moment to where they used to be, or where they were in the moment to where they wanted to be.
Yeah.
And like would paint, this whole picture about like how they used to do things or how things used to go. But yeah, I didn't deal with the whole like unhealed part about like maybe like them dealing with like relationship stuff. I did have Now I did have somebody that had a friend, but like when they would see them, like their eyes would light up a little bit, and I'm like, that's not a friendship. I light up. That's like
You
it was.
somebody you were dating them and they used to light up for their friend.
Yeah, like if they. So maybe that was my moment of feeling like that. Feeling like
Feeling like you got me fucked up.
yeah, um, because it was like they were friends, but like when he would see her, like he would, I don't know, he would just like be different. And I used to be like, hold up, player, what are you doing? You forgot. But back then, y'all, as much as I talk junk now, like I used to mute myself for these people. Like
Ooh.
I didn't say nothing, basically.
Sometimes you don't know how to articulate yourself until you sit with yourself and understand, like, no, it's okay for me to say this. It's okay for me to express this. It's
Or
okay for
the
me to
fear of
bring this
losing
up to
them.
you.
Like I'm just like I should have let you go ahead about your business. If that was if me speaking up for myself make you feel like you gotta go, then oh well.
Right.
But yeah, I used to be on mute a lot.
You ain't the only one. And that's why I tell people now I'm always gonna advocate for myself because I didn't before.
Yeah.
Ever since I was a little girl, I used to always advocate for other people, but this is a new development, me knowing how to do that for myself, right? So I've been assertive, and I used to put all that energy into other people, but now I'm keeping a little bit for myself,
Yeah.
and
So what
just
about
deal with
you? Have
that
you dealt with that?
with someone who hadn't got closure and is showing up in the present.
Mm-hmm.
In some ways, I feel like I said, it shows up as like unhealed parts, or it shows up as um expectations in a lot of ways. So like I feel like when someone hasn't gotten full closure from their past in some way, then they're looking, it's kind of like triggers too,
Mm-hmm.
for like patterns and stuff. It's like they're looking for a lot of the same stuff in the other person
Yeah.
without, they're expecting they expect to know what it is before they actually like.
Or expect it to go the same way.
Right, basically that's what I'm
Yeah.
trying to say. I was having a hard time,
I got you. I
but
got you.
basically they're thinking it's going to go the same way, or that is, the same situations that they're dealing with, and it's just like, no.
My last situationship, like we weren't even talking for a long time, but like it was one time he got drunk and he sent me his location, and I was like, "What? Huh?" And I was like, "What is this?" Like, and he was just like, "I'm just showing you like I'm where I say I am," and I'm just like, "I don't even know you well enough to even know like where you at anyway. But I was like, ooh, that's something that
Oh, I've
I would
had
have
some of
had to
that
deal
too. Yeah.
with, if we would have continued. But I was
Yeah.
like, baby, I'm not one of them types. Like, first off, it was because I know in other relationships, like I used to stay up late and have anxiety when my man was out with his friends or whatever. Baby, I was asleep. I woke up. I was like, huh, what is this? But I knew what I recognized that I was like, okay, in probably one of your past relationships, like your girl or whatever, like told you that you had to send her your location, like, which is I'm just like, if you got to do all that, it's just too much. But whatever.
Right. So let me see. So the movie, I did find the title. The movie is called Someone Great, and if I'm not mistaken, it was on
When
Netflix.
you get better and stuff, and
Huh? Girl, I don't know. I don't know. What I said, something good.
you was like
So
something good, better, something.
I was about to say better days, girl. I don't know. Better
Lord,
people. It's called Someone Great. So this is how I first heard Lizzo's song. What's the name of that song? But it's like you could have had a bad bitch. Mm,
Lizzo.
yeah, I said Lizzo.
Oh, I ain't hear that part. Sorry.
Anyway, that's the first time I had heard it, and I was just like, "You mean put this on my breakup playlist?" While I was sitting there crying. Yeah, yeah, it's a great movie, so go check it out. Anyway, back to the questions. um, how does media portray closure?
Making us feel like we always gotta have a conversation.
Mm, it's a good one. Cause like I said, sometimes it's
Always
just
paint
not
that
gonna be
picture
a
like we're gonna
conversation.
have a sit down,
Girl, and you gonna have
a
it,
romantic sit down at that.
and a lot of them. Know what I'm saying? A lot of them, they'll paint the closure like the door is still open, so you have this
hmm
idea that the door stays open.
hmm Or they gonna always come back, or they gonna realize like what they're missing and da 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 da. Like a lot of times, even if they realize that, like you don't want them to come back anyway, so close the door.
And the crazy part is, and we'll talk about this on like the one that got away, but
mm
it's like you're not even gonna be the same person. If you are the same person, I feel sorry for you. You need to grow. You're supposed to change every so often, and you're supposed to learn from your experiences. You're supposed to be altered in some way for
Yeah.
the better,
hmm
throughout your life. So if somebody that you dated years ago comes back and you're the same person, and they're the same person.
That says a lot about y'all.
Right. So it's just like, or y'all can be, the hope would be that y'all would be different and y'all would be better. And then that's
Yeah,
how you can, have a healthy relationship. But I think a lot of people, they
but
have,
it happens too in these times because people don't want to heal.
that's true. But I think a lot of times, like, especially when we think about the one that got away, um, it's like people hold on to this idea of who the person was.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I'm not that person no more. Like, so you need to get closure because that person gone. You need to
Mm.
get that closure you never got because you was holding on to something and you held on to it and it's not even on the
Listen,
market no
baby, I'm
more.
not even the same
That
person I
thing
was
expired.
yesterday. I'm not even who I was yesterday. So, baby, don't come back thinking that you about to get that same version because it's not
Right.
gonna happen.
Why do so many of us have issues with closure? Why do you have issues with closure?
Why
Besides
did I have
rejection.
issues?
Yeah.
I had issues with clothes. I don't have issues now, but
I
I
still
had
struggle.
issues. I think after that last situation earlier this year, it kind of like kickstarted a
Yeah.
whole lot of healing that I needed, and now I'm just like I'm at the point of knowing my self worth, and it's just like if it was supposed to work, it would have.
Mm. Hey,
And
grab your earbud mic for me. It's rubbing against your every time you move
oh,
the other side.
my bad, my
Crazy.
bad.
Yeah, just hold it a little bit away from you.
This too much
I'm
work,
sorry. It's just
podcast
rubbing.
person. Anyway,
I'm gonna get you some headphones.
I don't want them either. But
You getting them?
dang.
You were
Uh,
talking about why it's the issue. You said earlier this year after him.
Okay, early this year, yeah, after him, it kickstarted like a whole lot of healing that I needed to that I never even knew that I needed. But yeah, I'm good now with the whole closure thing. Like, I'm to the point now. I'm just like, if the door closed, listen, don't get hit by it. And if I
Mm.
close it, I'm gonna close it hard.
And boo boo, what's the door closed?
Listen,
They don't open.
but
Ain't
my
no key.
issues, like I said earlier, were abandonment issues and rejection. So I didn't want to let them go because it was like I was losing a part of me, but I really wasn't. But that's just how my mind framed it.
Yeah. I was like, trying to find my words. So, after that initial situation or relationship that I just mentioned or whatever, it was difficult. But once I got through that, that's when I wrote this. Like it was like a year or so later, and I wrote that blog post, and that was me understanding and kind of talking to myself and
Mm-hmm.
understanding how I was, going through my healing process and all that good stuff. And then I started dating last year, like actually dating or trying. Let me pause and rewind. Attempting to date, because
Trying it out,
not every guy is actually on this dating train, even though they out here
even
like
though
they
they
ready to date.
say they are.
Right. So,
They're on a
I
dating app, but no,
right.
we don't talk about that. Go ahead.
So I had ran into I ain't gonna single nobody out, but I had run into a few guys who, acted like they were ready to date in certain
Mm-hmm.
ways. And because I was still learning, I was making mistakes on what I was accepting too. So there was that. And I got into a situation where I started, building a friendship with a guy, started caring for him, only to realize like, oh, you really ain't trying to date me. Like you really got me out here, thinking that we building something and we're not. So, um, what I did was I was like, well, you need to kind of figure out if you want to date or not. Like, I'm giving you the option to figure out what you want to do, because at this point, I can't make you do something you don't want to do, or
Right.
whatever the case may be. And so the closure I got from that situation was, I think I gave us a time frame for us to like just chill, for you to think about it or whatever, and then come back and we can talk about it. And the person didn't really do a great job with the whole communicating piece, even though they were good at communicating. So that's why I was upset with the situation. I was just like, as somebody who was becoming your friend, I felt like, here we go again. Well, that I deserve better than this, right? So,
I deserve.
um, but I could tell the way I handled that situation was different from, based off of me having to deal with the other hard situation I had to deal with closure. So I took it for what it was. I was just like, all right. After a while, even though I was sitting there and I'ma still have to work on trying to stop myself from helping people not lose me, because
Listen,
I should have been capped out that situation a minute ago. But once it finally was all said and done, I was just like, okay, cool. Well, you made your decision for what it is, and I'm not gonna convince you any different. And that's the closure. And I
yep.
don't have to keep asking questions. I don't have to keep a line of communication open with you. I don't have to keep, a friendship with you. We cool. Like, you fine. You go, you do you,
Take
and I'ma
care.
go. Right. And that's the closure. And I think that's a hard pill for people to swallow, especially when you feel like you've built up something with somebody. You feel like, oh, I put all this work and this time and this effort in, or I've let this person in. I've been vulnerable with this person, because that was another thing for me too. I was like, I've been vulnerable with this person. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I've revealed things to this person. Right? This person is a friend, and so you get into this mindset where it's just like, I need more than you just saying that, you want to be out, or you don't want to give me what I want. I need more, and sometimes you're just not gonna get it.
Sometimes you could have just left me alone.
That too, but let's normalize that.
Dang.
Normalize just leaving me
You already
alone.
knew what you wanted or didn't want. Like, stop beating around the bush. Just say that.
But it comes.
Don't take
It's
away my
all good
option to
training.
say no. I mean, it is, but don't
Yeah.
take away my option to say no.
Yeah, that too. Well, people will try. People will use as much as they are allowed to, and that's something like that's hard for me to admit. Like, girl, why you keep getting in these situations? Like,
Yeah.
what's going on here? And I have to be real honest with myself and say, hey, you got some issues here where you allow people to get away with some things that you should catch a little earlier on. And you need to be honest with yourself about why you do that. And so that's still a journey I'm on.
Yeah, I also noticed too, like I'm trying to get to a point where I have a balance. Like it's either I'm closed off or I'm like open and ready to build something. It's
Hmm.
just like I need a in between. It's like where in the in between stage, like I can catch things quicker and not allow them to slide by until like I really get hurt to the point where I'm like, dang, I should have caught that beforehand. Like
Right.
so I am working on that part because I'm just like when I do start dating again, like I don't have time. Like I don't have time for this.
Time, energy, resources, none of it. I don't have it.
Mm-mm.
But that I think it starts with the honest place, right? You have to be honest with yourself. I think a lot of times when we have conversations like this, you have like polar opposites. You have people that just don't get it, and then you have people that think they know everything.
Mm-hmm.
I'm neither one of these people, which is
Mm-hmm.
why I'm saying that this is a continuous journey for me. Like, I'm not saying I'm great at closure. I'm not saying I have been great at closure. I'm not even saying that it's not people out there that's still waiting for closure for me. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? So, at the end of the day, what I can say is I'm willing to have the conversation and I'm willing to figure it out because I think self awareness is so important to this conversation because you have to know, like, what you're not getting. You have to know that sometimes you're not gonna get it, and you have to be okay with it. And you have to also know, you know, what you allow in your life, and like when it's time to leave, and when it's time to move on. Like,
But it always circles back to the conversation that we always talk about, like knowing yourself and spending time with yourself to get to know yourself. Like that's how you're gonna be able to decipher like what you're gonna accept and how you love yourself is what you attract. Like if you don't spend time with yourself and love yourself enough, like you're gonna
mhm.
attract those type of people that don't do that for you.
Right. One of my friends said something that this is going off, but I'm gonna ask your opinion on it. So she
Oh
said
Lord.
she said when we get into connections, we show people how we want to be treated, and then we tell them how they're actually treating us.
I agree.
I was like, oh my God. But if we just look at how people treat us from the beginning, then
From
we
the
would
beginning.
avoid a
Yeah.
lot of situations. And I thought about that. I was like, oh my God,
Yeah.
I do this.
Mm-hmm.
I will come in, I will show you, I would treat you well, and then I would show you how to treat me well, and I would show you how you can treat yourself well. I would show you this, and I would show you that. And then
Right.
I'm gonna step back and I'm like, wait a minute. And I'm gonna show you what's actually happening, and I'm gonna compare it to what I want. And if it falls short, whose fault is that?
Right. I actually just had a moment where I think I was journaling and I was just like saying how, like, in my next relationship, I want to kind of, I don't, it's not that I don't want to give effort and I don't want to show them things, but it's like I want to see what they're going to do first before
Right,
I'm actually, because I know that I have a takeover spirit and I could just be like, oh yeah, this, and this is how, and whatever. It's just like, if I actually allow people to date me in the correct way in the
right.
beginning, then I can avoid a lot of stuff
A
that
lot
I
of
had to
things,
encounter, in the
and
past.
it
So,
again back to that self awareness because I was like, with me, I'm someone who, whenever I come in contact with someone and I get like the vibe, like, oh, okay, I really like this person, like I can connect with this person. I automatically like, how can I make things easier for this person?
yep.
How can I make their life experience better, when I'm in it? And so I try to do that. And, I don't regret being this type of person because I do think it's benefits in, to being someone who cares about other people's experiences, especially when I'm a part
Yeah.
of it.
Mhm.
But I do know that it has to be some balance in there because
Yeah.
you run the risk of depleting yourself and not getting what you need at
Right.
all. Like, and if you're so busy, if you're busy wondering what you can give this person and the person is busy looking at what they can get from you, who looking out for what you get in
There's
return?
no room, and that's what I said in the conversation. I don't know if it was with you or with somebody, but I just don't want to lose myself in another relationship. Like,
Right.
and it's so easy to do it, especially like the type of person that I am. It's like so easy for me to just be all in,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just like, okay, I give my all, and I don't have
I
nothing left.
give my
And it's so many times where I'm just like, why am I so drained? Why I'm so exhausted? Is because you didn't try to do the most, and you didn't leave anything for yourself.
all. Right. So, I mean, that's one thing I can. I do know, recognize the signs of like, okay, girl, you need to slow down. You need to
Pull it
pour,
back.
pour back. Pull back, pour back into you, and do what you got to do to make sure that you're not losing the person that you found over these past couple of years because it was a
Mm-hmm.
lot of work to get there, and I be damn. I'm
Listen,
gonna allow her to get lost in
bruh,
anything that's not beneficial to her growth and to her light. You
finding
know.
my way back to myself. It's a blessing, but it was a tough road to get here, and I be doggone. I can't lose her no more. I can't. Like I can't. I can't. I just can't afford to. Like
So, what do we hope to gain from closure?
answers. you
A
al-
lot of us, yeah.
you always wanna know why. You always and it's a lot of times we don't even really know what we're looking for. We just want something. We just don't even know what it is.
We want the part. I know for me, I wanted regret.
Mm.
I wanted. I
I've been there.
wanted.
Yeah.
I with my closure. I hoped for a long time that it was regret that I was going to get. It was remorse. It was some justification for the pain I was feeling.
Mhm.
So that was what I hoped for in any of the conversations. And so the questions seemed like they might have been all over the place and they might have been asking something totally different. The root of what I wanted was that remorse to
Yeah.
give some kind of band-aid to the pain I was feeling in the moments that I was feeling them, and to give some justification to all the things I had given up in myself, which I probably shouldn't have given up, right? So
Right.
also like a lot of times in the heat of the moment and we're talking about closure, like you're probably processing through a breakup or something like that and you realize that you lost yourself like we were just saying, and it's like you don't want to hold yourself accountable for it, so sometimes you want to hold the other person accountable for it, and you're looking for that accountability on their part, that you allowed me to lose myself in this way, or you allowed me to
Or you let me lose
invest.
myself.
Right, or you allow me to invest as much in you. And so a lot of times like we'll be looking for all kinds of answers and all kinds of
Mm-hmm.
stuff in our closure, like, and we'll hope that the person can give it to us when really it's just like you ain't gonna get half that stuff.
No. In one of my situations, I actually did get that in
Mm.
in a sense, and it did nothing for me.
Yeah, it don't help.
Nothing.
The heart's
Like
still there.
I mean, the pain was still
You
there. I
still
was
gotta
still
heal.
stuck. Like, and I was just like, you wanted this, but what you gonna do with it? Like, what is it helping? Like nothing. So
Right.
it's just like a lot of times what we're searching for, like even if we get it, like it's still not gonna do anything.
My first ex, um, we broke up again. He cheated. We were young. He made a mistake. It was what it was, but I wasn't sticking around. And so, um, for years, I asked him why because I was his one that got away. So he would always come back every so often and want to talk about it, and I would ask him why for years. And for years, he couldn't give me an answer. he would try to give some justification, but for me, I'm just like, no, that's not it. That's not it. That's not it. When he finally told me because I could, it was just like, oh my gosh.
Sheesh.
But it was, and I accepted it because it made sense. You didn't have to, put no justification on it. You didn't have to write it away. You, first of all, you stood in your accountability for it. You know what I'm saying? You said what it was. You cheated because you could. And that was my
That hard
closure.
too, that
It
we
took
didn't
years for me
expect.
to get closure in that situation.
Yeah.
Like, and that's the crazy part. So it's just like, I'm not saying that you can't ask questions. What I'm saying is, if I had to just waited on that one answer after all them years to like move on and to heal myself and to do the work, it would have been years of my life that I wouldn't have been, out here experiencing other people or having other love interests and other stuff because I was waiting on this one person to give me an answer, which in some ways I still did. Like, but when I look back on that, I'm just like, you waited that long for that,
For that.
for that simple ass answer.
Yeah.
That makes
But
so
it was
much
his
sense.
answer though.
But that was it. For that simple ass answer that made so much sense. You waited that long for that to get the closure that you needed. Not saying you didn't deserve it, but you didn't allow yourself to feel or to trust or to forgive.
Hmm.
To forgive. Like a lot of times we withhold our forgiveness because of our lack of closure in the way that we understand it.
Or we're holding on to parts. Like we're holding on to so many, so much pain and so much stuff. Like, and I guess a lot of times, a lot of people. Well, a lot of times we as people hold on because we feel like, oh, I need to hold on to this because I can't let it go. I
It's that
can't
armor.
forgive this
Right.
person. And it's like, it's not even about them. Like, you need to forgive them for you, like,
All right.
and forgive yourself too,
Mm-hmm.
but it's life, man.
So, what are some other forms of closure that we don't necessarily talk about? Like, when you think about like family and like friends, maybe
Well,
a
I know
job.
the biggest thing for me was my dad and like my daddy issues or whatever.
Mm.
But I had to come to terms with the fact that I couldn't expect him to give me a conversation that one he's never fully admitted, the pain he's caused or who he truly is. Like he just I don't know, I just feel like he lives in this fantasy world anyways. And
Right.
it's just like a lot of times when I go around him, it's just like half the time I didn't even really understand why I was still mad because it's just like he is who he is. And
Mm-hmm.
even if I felt like if I tried to have the conversation, he he didn't accept what he did anyways, so it wouldn't have been a conversation. It would have just
Mm-hmm.
really been me talking at him. And so for the most part, I just was like, it happened. And I guess it's a lot of times we paint this picture of our parents, but also we don't really understand like they were kind of doing the best
Yeah.
that they could, even if
Mm-hmm.
it caused a lot of pain. Like it still was the best that they could, or
Mm-hmm.
maybe. And like with my situation, like he wasn't there and he wasn't active in my life, but I'm just like, maybe he couldn't, like maybe he wasn't capable of being my
Right.
dad. And I'm just like, now I understand it more. And now I'm able to come to terms with it and be like, okay, I accept this for what it is. It happened to me, but it's not who I am.
Right.
I'm like, yeah, he wasn't active, but I was like, I still had a dad. Like my stepdad was there or whatever. So it's just like, just closing the door. And it's just like, I can't expect him to be my dad. Even now, like, I'm just like, but I'm not holding on to that anymore. Like I let it go because I can't carry this no more. Like I'm dropping this bag.
Right. Definitely the same thing for me. We've talked about daddy issues and mommy issues, of course. Go check out those episodes. They're
Yeah,
on
they're really
season
good.
2. Yeah. So, but definitely the same where it's just like you get to an age where You realize your parents are imperfect, and that's your closure. Is
Yeah.
to see them as human beings, to see them as people. For a long time, I was resentful
Mhm.
of like my childhood, my upbringing, the things I saw and had experienced, the things I didn't have because
Right.
of decisions that were made. And I held on to that stuff, and just like I had done with the men in my life,
Mhm.
I would ask why. You know what I'm saying? I need to know an answer. I need to know
Yeah.
an answer. I need to know. I need to know. I need for you to explain this to me, to articulate it, to make it make sense for me. And I used to try to have those conversations with my dad, or sometimes I didn't. Same thing with my mom. It was just like they're only going to be able to say so much because their perspective is different. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? In the moment, whatever decisions they made or life choices that they had, um, it was different for them. Like, and they didn't understand the ripple effects of some
Yeah.
of that stuff. And so, like, your closure is realizing, like, these are my parents.
Yeah.
this
They
is my
did
this is my
what they did.
family. Yeah, this is my family, and they're imperfect, and I choose to love them anyway. That's
Mhm.
that's where I've gotten to with it, and it's just like, here are the bad parts, here are the good parts, and this is what I'm accept. Like, and
Yeah.
these are where the boundaries I'm gonna lay too, like, in
Right.
some ways. So, that closure comes in a form of acceptance in a lot of ways, I think.
Yeah. And also too, like realized. Well, I realized a long time ago that I was kind of dating like versions of my dad, anyways, because of that deep rooted issue. But it's just like I took a stand in this healing process because I was just like I cannot date this person again. Like I refuse. I refuse to. Like I refuse to keep going through the same cycle, and it's just like I know that it was it was my fault a lot of times because I knew it was there, but I didn't address it, and so I just
Yeah.
let it just kind of follow me around. It's just like this time, nah, bro, we got to do something different this time around.
And switch it up. All right. So, what would be your advice for somebody that's currently like struggling with closure and like having a tough issue right now, like with moving on or finding peace?
My advice would be to go buy some journals and to write it out. Even on the hard days, write out everything. And also, like, take a break from people and do the hard work. It's gonna be hard. It's gonna be days where you gonna be kicking and screaming. Some days you ain't gonna want to talk because you just don't know what to feel. But I, speaking for somebody that's on the other side, it gets better.
Yeah.
And when you make it to the other side, it's worth it. Like all of that pain that you feel when you're like going on the roller coaster of healing, it's worth it. I promise you it is. And it's needed so you can like see what freedom feels like for
Right.
once.
My advice would be, um, stop looking at the things that you feel like you're losing. I think a lot of times the hardest thing with closure is feeling like we're missing out on something, we're losing out on it, our life is going to be forever not the same and not as great because we're having to let go of something that we probably don't want to necessarily let go of. Um, but I encourage you to look at all the possibilities. Like, look at the situation for what it is, like in with an honest lens. Like, so whether that's your parents and you looking at them and you like, you know what, you did your best. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes I wouldn't what I needed. I needed a little bit more from you, but at the end of the day, like, you did your best and you're imperfect, and I can accept that. Or if it's romantic and you're looking at your partner and realizing, like, okay, I need more. And if that person is not doing it, you just deciding, like, okay, well, even though I love the person, then maybe I need to go out and find the more that I deserve. And so that's your closure. Or could be dealing with a Derek Jackson. That's
Man,
his name. What's his name?
Yeah.
Whatever his name is, and so you looking at it and like, what are you losing? You know what I'm saying? Sometimes we're focused on so much of what we're losing that we're not really being honest with ourselves about all the things that we can gain.
Right.
So, I just encourage you to be honest in that way. Take off
And
the
be honest with
rose-colored
yourself.
glasses. Yeah, be honest with yourself.
It's okay.
Yeah. All right. Well, this is it for part one of Closed Doors Don't Get Fed. Because once I close that door, it don't open back up, boo.
Nah, not no more. Not in 2021. Ain't leaving no cracks.
But go ahead and plug all your info for the builders.
Y'all know who it is. It's Spa Dani.
With the voice going out.
Listen, this pollen trying to take me out, but y'all come follow me on IG at Spa Dani _ Follow me on Facebook, Spa Dani LLC. And just stay tuned. Some stuff is cooking up,
Not cooking.
Cooking up, for the people. Come get this Spa Dani experience. You won't regret it.
Oh. And you guys know me. I'm your host, Kantoinette, and you can follow me on Instagram at Kantoinette _ the blogger. You can also follow the Let's Build Futures page at Let's _ build _ futures and visit letsbuildfutures.com for this blog post and more. You can also write me. Oh, that's what I forgot. Before we get out of here, I'm so sorry. I know I was forgetting something. See, y'all, I done got into my whole spiel. I wanted to read off the responses we got from the builders about closure. I am such a dunce, so I'm just cut out the other part. Let me. Where did I put them? Let me go on Twitter. Twitter. All right. Tweeting too damn much. All right, so some of the builders shared a lot of the responses. So one thing I asked was, how has your understanding of closure changed as you matured and healed as a person? So these are some of the responses I got, and then you can kind of give your thoughts and opinions about them. So one builder, said, it's a myth that you need it from a person to move on. No one but you can really give that to you. Another builder said, when I was younger, I thought I had to have an explanation or an apology to get closure. Who? An apology be that thing too that keeps you from like fully moving on. And I've written about that because I had gotten to a space where I was getting upset that a lot of times it felt like I have to move on without an apology for someone that I feel has wronged me. And I wanted to know why we are so bad as a society at apologizing when we're wrong. And so I think that is another part of the conversation too, where it's just like these apologies keep us from like that forgiveness, and it keeps us from that closure.
I agree.
Yeah. Another said, as I matured, I realized it's about my own internal healing. It's doing what you need to do to move on or heal with or without the person involved. It doesn't always have to be a conversation. So we was on point with that one. I don't think you ever get closure, but you do get peace, which I love that one. I was like, I do think you get closure, but I can understand exactly
in some situations, you may not get full closure, or maybe it's just because you're not getting the closure that you want, so you feel like it's not closure. But you can't have just the peace with the situation.
But I think I kind of think of them synonymously, so maybe that's why I feel like good closure is peace. Like, but I understand I don't need it. I understand I don't need it really, because at the end of the day, the healing starts with me. And it was one more. Oh, okay. Anyway, so that was a few from the builders. If you have any thoughts about this topic, don't hesitate to hit me up at allthingslbf@gmail.com. I'll be happy to talk to you. Or you can hit me up in the DM like it's all good. So that was just our thoughts on closure. It's part one. Like, share, comment, have the conversation with somebody, have the conversation with yourself. See if you are holding on to something that you need to go ahead and close the door on. um, Go ahead and plug your information, Spa Dani.
Y'all know me. It's your girl, Danny. Come see me at Spa Dani. Um, Come get this Spa Dani experience. You won't regret it. But follow me on IG at Spa Dani _ and you can follow me on Facebook at Spa Dani LLC. And if you follow me, you'll just be updated with all the promo codes and all the deals that I have coming your way.
And you guys know me. I'm your host, Kantoinette, and you can follow me on Instagram at Kantoinette _ the blogger. You can also follow the Let's Build Futures page at Let's _ build _ futures, and visit letsbuildfutures.com, where you can find this blog post, closed doors don't get fed, and more. Also write me at my email at allthingslbf@gmail.com. And remember to like, share, subscribe. Please leave a review of LBF Podcast, because that helps my ratings and it helps me become a bigger podcast, which is the goal, right? So make sure that you're sharing this stuff with your friends, your family, having the conversation with yourself. And as I close out part one, make sure you join us back for part two, which is about the one that got away. So talk to you soon. Bye.